Welcome back to the Angler Journey podcast for another episode of celebrating success, embracing failure, and inspiring the entrepreneur inside of you. I'm your host, Emily Frenzen, and today I have the pleasure of welcoming Caitlin Sunday into the studio. Caitlin has massively grown her social media following, and today she is here to share her story and some of her best tips. But before we get started, Caitlin, go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about your background.
Yeah, so my name is Caitlin Sunday, and I graduated about a year ago, and I was doing animal science when I was going to UNL, and I love everything social media, hanging out with friends and family, and animals.
Yeah, awesome. I love that. Love the animals. So tell us what you do now.
Yeah, so I post content on social media, specifically YouTube and TikTok, and I make content about Target, such as since I work there, I post content about what the day in the life of a Target employee is like, what you should buy, what you shouldn't buy, and sales and deals going on. I also like posting about helping others grow on social media and how they can make money online as well.
Awesome. So cool. So tell us how you got started.
Yeah, so it's actually kind of weird. So in high school, I was always watching these beauty people and I was like, oh my gosh, this looks so fun. So I was like, why can't I start? So then I started with makeup videos on my YouTube channel, and now it's kind of evolved into helping other people grow online, and then as well as my TikTok content, which I'm doing about Target.
You have the beauty of having this entrepreneurial gig on the side, but also working at Target. So what do you like about having the combination of working at Target and your gig as well?
Yeah. So I love with Target that I don't have to always work 40 hours, but I can if I want to pick up hours. I also love how just the freedom and flexibility it gives me to be able to do extra things. Because I was actually at this kind of crossroad where I was like, oh no, what am I going to do? Because I'm a year after graduating, and it's usually people get a 9-to-5. So I was hardcore applying for different jobs, and I'd either get them or they wouldn't reply, or then I just after I got them, I would be I don't know if it feels fully right for me. So then I was okay, what am I gonna do? Because I can't just work at Target my entire life, which technically I could, but I just didn't feel fully happy with that. So I was okay, sitting in my room all the time for the past 6 months thinking, okay, what am I gonna do? What do I actually love? And that was social media. And I was even if I work at Target, I'm gonna want to work on my social media, and I'll actually give me time to do that. And then I was or I could get a 9-to-5, but then I'd still be working on my social media. So it'd just be a whole bunch of extra work, I feel of working 40 hours, plus trying to spend time with friends and working on my social media. So I was what's the common denominator out of all of this? And it was social media. Mm-hmm. So I was I think that should be my path. Let's actually do the dang thing and not just kind of say I'm going to and push it to the side. So I think it's been cool to see that growth and actually me enjoying and feeling happy of where I am.
What is the why behind what you do?
Yeah, so I love how social media and entrepreneurship can grow with you. And I feel I always have these goals that I've wanted, such as I like to travel. I think at some point I want to be a stay-at-home mom. So I was how am I going to do that with the goals that I want? And I feel social media was the only outlet to be able to do that. And so with my content, I love how I can evolve it around who I am and feel authentic of who I am. So I feel that's always my why, and seeing these goals actually starting to come true too is super cool.
I think what you said is so true of entrepreneurship being a lifestyle, because it's allowing you to do what you want to do now, whether it's traveling or in the future being a mom. Mm-hmm. And it's so cool how you get to build a life you want. You know? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I feel it's cool online you can do passive income, and I feel everyone wants to make money when they're sleeping. So I think that's super cool.
Yeah, that is super awesome. So in what you do, why does brand matter?
Yeah. I think brand is important because there's so much competition out there. So it's what are you going to do to stand out from that competition? And I feel you truly being yourself too is what's going to make you different from the competition. So I think it's important to create a unique brand for yourself. And how I do it is I really relate it on who I am, because you can be authentic, and that's so much different than who other people are and what other brands are doing. So I think for me, I do a lot of my Target content. I say, oh, I work at Target, even though I should technically be having a 9-to-5 since I graduated. And I feel a lot of people resonated with that too. So I feel it's cool that I can feel authentic of what I'm truly doing.
I would love to talk about how the pandemic influenced what you're doing. So why or why not was the pandemic an ideal time to grow your social media?
Yeah, I feel like the pandemic was a perfect time to grow social media since more people were at home for either school or work, and even sometimes people did lose their jobs during the pandemic. So I think it's a perfect time since everyone was like, oh, like maybe turn to social media for another job or like a side hustle, as well as just doing it for fun too.
Yeah, totally. What was the pandemic like for you personally?
Yeah, so it was really crazy. So I was in Italy finishing or starting, I guess, a study abroad. So I was supposed to be there for 3 months, but I was there for 1. And in Italy, we like closed down like our school. So we're like, let's do it online. And like by then, I don't think it was spring break yet for people in the US. So I was like, okay, this is so weird. Like, I don't know if I'm going to be sent home or if it's just kind of like people are going to freak out for a little bit and then everything will go back to normal. But then I got the email from UNL. I was like, you need to come home right now. And I was like, okay. So then I came home and then I think it was just about my birthday and then everything shut down here. So I was like, oh my gosh, everywhere I'm going, everything's shutting down. I was like, maybe I'm the unlucky person that I'm just getting all this stuff.
Yeah.
But it was crazy. And then I was continuing working at Target. So at least that was like a good constant in my life. And it was fun kind of seeing like just everyone like how they came together and stuff like that.
Yeah, that would be such a unique experience to be working at Target in the midst of that.
Yeah.
Totally. Wow. So I know you've had a lot of recent success. So would you share some of that with us today?
So I feel like I've had 2 really big ones with my social media. I've hit 4K on YouTube and 16 like point whatever on TikTok. So I think that's super cool because that's grown the most it's ever have in the past couple months. And then also with like the money, I've never made this much money on social media, which is super cool because like this is always what I've wanted, but I feel like it snuck up quicker than I've thought it would.
Yeah. Could you tell us more specifically about what that has been like?
Yeah, so on social media, I made like 14.5K, which is crazy in a month. Because I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so crazy. Because like that's how much I make on like at Target almost in a year. So that's like half of what I make, and I made that in a month. So
literally insane.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
I don't know. It feels kind of unreal. Like it's just in my bank account. Like I haven't used any of it because I'm like, I don't know what to do with this.
Yeah.
So that's going to be fun for tax season next year to figure that out.
For sure. For sure. So how did you make the 14K?
Yeah, so it's more through my reels on Facebook because Facebook I feel like is really pushing to like pay creators. Like I do get paid on TikTok and YouTube, but it's not as much as Facebook is pushing right now. So I think that's super cool that I got in this industry and like with reels like right at the right time.
Yeah, that's incredible. Wow. And in a month.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So crazy. So what are your best tips for listeners who want to get into the social media space and they're looking to grow? What would you recommend?
Yeah. So I feel like I have like my top 3 tips that I always tell everyone. My first one is always like just get started. It can kind of be nervous because you don't know like the technicalities of everything or just having people see you on social media. So I feel like just pushing yourself to just at least get started is very helpful. And then you can focus on strategies and all of that stuff a little bit later. And then my second one would be focus on like what people are going to want to watch and focus on giving value in those videos or your business because people always want to know, like even in businesses and on social media, what's in it for them. So it's like, what can I give to them that they'll want to watch my videos or buy my products instead of focusing on stuff that may not matter as much. So I say really focus heavily on like, what do people want to watch and what value can you give? And then my last one would be like perfectionism. I always say like half the time my videos that I don't think are going to do as well or I didn't put as much time or they might be like different or weird have done better than the content that I've like put so much effort into. And I'm like, okay, this is so weird. So like you never know what's going to like pop off with people and like what's going to go viral. So I would say like don't focus too hard on perfectionism and just do it. Obviously like you can go fix things when necessary, but I would say focus on that like 10% of the time and then 90% of the time just keep posting.
Yeah, those are so good, so helpful. Do you have an example of one of the different pieces of content that you put out there that you're like, oh, this isn't gonna get very much engagement or interaction that has that you can think of?
There's one where I just saw like a Starbucks cup sitting out on the counter at like Target. And so I just made it was like 5-second video. I was like, oh my gosh, like why did someone put this here? And people were like, oh my gosh, commenting on it. And that one I think has like 200, 300K online. And then also just some random ones that I do like, oh, like buy this. And like I look weird and or dumb. And those ones do well. And I'm like, these are the ones that I don't put much effort into. And then the ones that I try to put like a little bit more effort to, they don't do as well. So it's kind of funny.
That is super funny. Man, that is so interesting. There is so much to the social media world.
It really is. There's like real life, and then social media world is just so big. And now I feel like I don't really understand this, but crypto, and I feel like that's another world in itself.
Yeah, totally. What do you think is going to happen in the future? Like what trends do you think we'll see moving forward? Do you have any idea?
Yeah. Well, I've kind of thought about that. Like in the past with marketing, we always saw like, oh, celebrities pushing products and like buy their products, and people would like not essentially fall for that, but they would like go into that. And now what you can see of what we're in today, like just the average person can push products and like be an influencer, and people like want to know what they are buying. So I think we're just getting more authentic, which is super cool and super nice to see that you don't always have to be perfect, and you can like live in Nebraska and still like do good things, and you don't have to live in California or like New York or the big places to like do your dreams.
Yeah. Mic drop. That was a good ending sentence. That's so good. Where can people find you online?
Yeah, so you can find me on any social media, just Caitlin Sunday, and it's KAITLIN SONDAE. So kind of like my last name, but I played it off with like ice cream.
Oh, so good. Love that. Fun question that we're going to end with that we've been asking everyone this season. We actually have 2 questions. So the first one is, the pandemic taught me blank, and the second one is, what is a hill that you're willing to die on? So first, tell us what the pandemic taught you.
Yeah, so it taught me that you can really do almost anything online, which is funny because a couple like years back, you would think it's so crazy to work from home or do school from home, and that's just like the daily normal now. That it's nice because it gives a lot of people the more freedom to do more stuff, or like not even live in the state that they're working in. So I think that's super cool. That's like opened people's eyes and like minds with that.
Yeah, so cool. Such good perspective. And lastly, what is a hill that you are willing to die on?
Yeah. So the hill that I'm willing to die on is you'll always end up where you're meant to be. Even if you don't feel like you're not moving in life or like succeeding, you always end up where you're meant to be. And most of the time too, I feel like it always seems like it's better than what you have imagined.
Thank you so much for listening to the Angler Journey podcast. Be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share with a friend so we can keep building people, building businesses, and building this community.